People, so this is Manga Arpita here, and today we're going to discuss about the basic DML, TCL and DCL commands, and I'm going to show some scenario, the schema, so that you'll be understanding how these commands work. So for instance, I have taken few questions wherein I'll be demonstrating how the solution for them should be executed on the SQL command prompt, so that you'll be understanding how the flow actually goes. So this is a schema which has already been constructed. So to understand how this schema is done, and if you have not referred my previous video, please do go and refer. So once the schema is done, your outer structure of the table will be already allocated and already established in your SQL command prompt that will be stored. So it looks like this is my table, right? You'll not have all these entries, all the user numbers, the name, department, and member numbers, but you'll only have these headings. So when you actually build the table and describe the table, you'll have only student number, student name, department, member number, the attributes, right? The column names and the data types which are provided for them. So once you're done with this, now we need to insert the values inside this, which is called as DML commands. One of the DML command which I'm using right now is called insert into values. So what you need to do is you're going to write insert into, which is a keyword, and after that you're going to specify a table name, and after that you'll mention the word values, and in the bracket you're going to mention all the things which you need. So let me look at the first question which I've given. The first question is going to be insert the records into employee using substitution method, right? Substitution method is by using ampersand. So while using ampersand, how do you insert the values? So my first command which I've executed had gone wrong because I have not mentioned the name of the table, and here it is wrong because I've mentioned student after the values. But actually what has to be done is I have to mention student and then values, and after values I say ampersand the name of the column, right? And why do I give single quotes over here? When I give single quote, it means it is a varchar. So for varchar you give single quotes, and so for three of them you're going to give varchar, and this last thing is going to be number, because as it is number, I'm not going to give it double quotes. So hope you understood how you take the values. And once when you type enter, the command prompt will directly ask you enter value for the first attributes column attributes name, enter value for the second attribute's name, enter value for the third attribute's name. So you're going to enter values randomly, and once you're done, it actually need to say that row created or something like successful message, but here it says the integrity constraint violated, parent key not found. So this means that there is some error, right? So I tried that again. That means you need to refer the previous video to actually understand the flow of what I'm doing up here. So when you see this table, there's a member number in the second table and there's a member number in the first table. When I make changes in the first table and when I am opting an output from the first table, the second table's changed output should be displayed in the first table also. So I link both of them using a foreign key. So it says the value is not getting entered in the table student because the parent key is not found. That means the parent for this is member number, right? So these values have not yet entered. So how will it know what values to be taken? So that is why I first need to fill my membership table. Hope you're clear with this concept. So to enter the membership values, it says, okay, I had an additional column which I didn't enter. So after that, I wanted to drop this A here because I have values only for 3 columns and I have 4 columns already because I just added, I just tried showing you how do you add a column using alter command in the previous scenario. So it is the same schema. So I need to drop this A underscore here. So I say alter table name, membership, right? Membership is the name of my table. And I say drop column and the column name. So once that is done, the table is altered. And when I say DESC membership, it says only 3 columns are present now. So now I'm ready to enter values into my membership. So once I enter values into my membership, what I actually do is the same thing which I've told you before, insert into membership and values. And once you're done with that, you're going to enter the values one by one. So once you're done with this, this has been compiled successfully. Therefore, it told one row has been created. So this is a successful message. So when you need to give an other entry in the same table, you don't need to type this entire command. Instead, you just type this single slash, which actually makes you get this sentence again, enter your mem number. So that is how I entered the data for mem number. And after entering the data, now I need to view the data which has been entered into my membership table. So for that I say select star. Star means all the columns from the table membership, right? So all the things which I've entered are displayed now along with the attribute names. So they are telling number of rows which are selected are 6, right? So once I'm done with this, now I'm ready to enter the values into my students column. So now I enter the values into my students column, and after that I check like all the values in my students column, yeah, they're rightly published, and I have 6 rows, yeah, even here I got 6 rows, everything went well. So now I'm ready to add values into my book. So I'm adding values into my book. As you can see, everything is going well. One row created. You know how you enter values into a book column, sorry, book table. And once you're done with that, I'm going to view the table again, which is select star from book. So once you're done with that, all of them have 6 rows or 6 tuples. That is why even book is going to have 6 tuples, and finally you see 6 rows create selected. That means you've entered data right. So once you're done with this, our last table, which is issue record. So how will that go? So I'm going to look at the description first. So as I know what all values to be entered inside them, so I put them again, and it says not enough values, right? No, I've actually missed some column. 1 2 3 4 5, yeah, I've not entered book number, I guess. Yeah, book number is not entered over here. That is the error. So I'm just explaining all the errors so that you'll be aware when you make some mistakes that this kind of error is also possible. That is why I'm discussing the errors too. So after that, I've added that also in my column. So it goes like insert into record values, issue record values, and here I enter all my 6 values. So once I'm done with that, I've added values in that, and I'm creating rows one by one. So once I'm done with that, the problem arises over here. In the previous video, I have added a check constraint that my fine should be greater than 5, and here my fine is 0. So when my fine is 0, it is actually giving me an error at line 1 saying that the check constraint system.cc1, that is the name of my constraint, right, is violated. That means my some code among here is going against the code which I've given in my previous schema instance, right? So what I do, I want to drop my check constraint now. So how do you drop a check constraint? I'll show you. These are all the errors which I've made while doing that. The primary thing you need is your attribute, your identifier. So for the identifier, you use alter table, table name, and drop. Constraint is the keyword. All things over here are keywords other than issue record. Issue record is the name of the table, and after that you mention only the check constraint attribute which you have given, and which gives you an output message called table altered. So once you're done with this, now you're free to add the value 0 because the check constraint has been dropped. So once you're done with this, your first question is done, and your second question is to view all the tables using select star from. This is the code for how you actually insert values, the screenshot and the query code. So my second question goes like this: write the query to display the records of each table. So write the query. For that you need select star from student, and then you write select star from membership, select star from book, which you've already done, and you finally give select star from issue record. So once when you're done with this, you have your next question, which goes like this: update the record. When you need to update something from inside a tuple, that is inside a row, you're going to use an update table name syntax. So you need to update issue record tables is number 169, and you have to modify the fine to 125. So how do you do that? You say update issue record, which is the common syntax, and in the next line I say set fine is equal to 125, and where it should set. So I need to give the value where is underscore number is 169. So now the table has been updated. So once the table has been updated, when I print it out, you can see 169 is number has fine to be 125. So this is how you do. So before, okay, once you're done with that, you give a command called commit, which actually finalizes all the data inputs which you have given. So once when this is done, you're going to give your next command to delete this issue number 168 stuff, right? So I'm going to delete this entire 168 pattern, which is over here, right? So this 168 line I'm going to delete, which is fine 0. So to delete that, I'm going to say delete from issue record where its number is equal to 168. So the row got deleted. So when I print that little row, you cannot see anything called 168, and you cannot see any fine with 0. So now I need to delete the row, delete the operation, undo the delete operation. So to undo the delete operation, what I do is I simply roll back. I roll back to the point where I committed. So when you commit, that is the final thing, right? So you need to make a save point over here. Once you saved it, you're gonna roll back to that information. So when I again print this, this again appears my 168.01 stuff with 0 find. So that is because you roll back and then you get the final value. So the next question is, I am going to display issue record whose fine amount is greater than 5. So I am going to say select star from issue record. This is a normal thing which displays all the issue records and all the columns of them. But after that, I need to specify a condition, and where is another keyword of SQL which says where is a condition, where fine is an attribute, where fine is greater than 100, which means all the columns which have all the rows which have fine greater than 100. So I get all of them displayed over here. So let me skip on to the next question. It is a TCL command. How do you control the transmission? So to create a user, I actually created a user earlier. So to create a user with the same name, I need to drop the users. To drop the user, it is very simple. When you create some user, you can drop the user by using drop user libman. When you need to create a user, you use the keyword create, the same thing user libman, and you need to give a password for him, right? So that is why you say identified by libman. So libman will be the username and the password will be libman as well. So here it says the user has been created. So we have created the user called libman, new user. And now what does libman do after entering into your SQL prompt? He needs to insert, delete, and update. So these are the privileges. These are called the privileges which can be given to a person, libman. And you can allot tables, like on which table. He cannot view your entire database, right? So you're going to use the keyword grant and you're going to tell what all privileges he'll be having, and on is a keyword which specifies on which table he can do. So I'm telling he can modify, like insert, delete, and update on the table student to which user libman. I might have millions of database correctors and updaters below me, so I just say to whom and on which table. So it says grant has been succeeded. So that is done, and then I need to revoke the privileges. Granting is giving the permission, revoking is taking away the permission from him. So what I do, I say revoke. I need to take away, I've given him insert, delete, and update. I need to take away the insert operation command from him. So I say revoke insert on student from libman. It takes away inserting capability from libman and it removes it from the student. So that is how this works. So if I need to remove all the things or multiple things, then you can specify it with a comma, delete, comma, update on student from libman. So this is how revoke has been successful. And after that, the next question is write a query to implement a save point. So I've written something, right? I've written something, and once I commit, I actually say save point and I've given a variable name. The variable name is going to be Arpita, right? And after that, it says the save point has been created. So now I'm updating set library staff ID S3 and where member number is equal to 15680. 15680 is set to. So here you can see 15680 is S1. But when I update, it is becoming 15680 to be S3. Now what I do, this value has been stored. So when I roll back and I give the attribute name where I have saved it. So I'm saying roll back to Arpita. So when I do this, rollback is complete, and when I display my table, you can see that it is S1 again. So you can see very carefully 15680 became S1. After my update, it became 15680 S3. After my rollback, again it became 15680 S1. So this is how you can revert back to the original values which you have given. So once this is done, you can see how rollback and commit also works. So this query has also been explained in the previous one, everything together. So I've copy pasted the same stuff over here. So my next question is write the student names with membership numbers. So I need student name and membership number. So studnum and membership number both are from the table student. So what I do, when you say select star, it means all the attributes from a particular table, right? So here I'm going to mention two attributes separated with a comma. That means I need to list out only these two attributes of this entire table. So when I say select stud name comma mem num from student, it will select both these columns and display it over here. So my last question, my last button question, yeah, it is to display the current date and book names. To display the current name, you say select current name from dual, which gives you the correct current date, and after that select student name and book name from all these things, and issue date will be the present date. 17 August 15. 17 will be the year. So this is how you mention the date. So all of them have been listed. So once you're done with that, you have the last thing, the current date of 15678 to be updated. So update command set date is equal to where member number